You ever been stuck in a traffic jam so bad that the highway just stops? Well, in the digital world, something kind of like that happens every single day. And honestly, it's one of the biggest threats out there. We're talking about distributed denial of service attacks, or DDoS for short. So let's break down what's really going on here. Okay, so first things first, what in the world is a DDoS attack? You know, the concept is actually a lot simpler than it sounds. It really all boils down to creating a massive, and I mean massive, unwanted digital traffic jam.
At its heart, a DDoS attack is all about just drowning a target. Think a website, a gaming server, any online service, with so much fake traffic that it just can't keep up. It can't handle the real requests anymore. It's literally that digital highway traffic jam we were talking about, completely blocking the road so that actual users, people like you and me, can't get through.
So you might be wondering, where does all this insane traffic come from? Well, it's generated by something called a botnet. Just imagine an entire army of infected computers, printers, maybe even your smart fridge, all being secretly controlled by one person. These zombies, as they're called, are then ordered to hit the target all at the exact same time, creating that devastating flood. And you know, this is so much more than just a little inconvenience. The impact of these attacks is staggering. The cost of being knocked offline, even for just a little while, can be absolutely devastating for a business. Just let this number sink in for a second. $40,000 per hour. According to the research, that's the average cost of a DDoS attack. For a lot of businesses, an attack that lasts just a couple of hours, that could be game over. And that financial hit, believe it or not, is just the beginning. The damage goes way deeper. Research shows over half of these attacks lead to a direct drop in revenue. 43% cause a serious loss of trust from customers, and sometimes they're just a smokescreen for something even worse, like stealing data while everyone's distracted. So yeah, the costs just keep piling up. You've got these huge productivity losses when your own internal systems go down. You've got long-term damage to the company's reputation. Your customer service team gets completely overwhelmed. And you could even be looking at massive fines from regulators if the attack messed with data availability. It's a nightmare. So how do the attackers actually pull this off? Well, it's not just one single trick. They have a whole toolkit, a bunch of different methods designed to exploit very specific weaknesses. We can basically sort these into three main flavors. First, you've got the volumetric attacks. These are the brute force traffic jams we've been talking about, just pure, overwhelming floods of data. Then you have protocol attacks, which are a bit more clever. They mess with the very rules of the internet to tie up things like firewalls. And finally, you have the most sophisticated ones, application layer attacks, which are sneaky because they look like real human users to wear out a specific part of a website. All right, to make this really concrete, let's zoom in on a classic example of a protocol attack. It's called a SYN flood, and it's a really clever way of exploiting how internet connections get made in the first place. So how does this actually work? Okay, think of a server like a super busy worker in a supply room. The attacker sends thousands of requests for packages. These are the SYN packets. The worker, being helpful, gets every single package ready and waits for the person to confirm they're taking it. But the attacker never confirms. They just ghost him. So now the poor worker is stuck there, holding thousands of packages, totally unable to help anyone else who actually needs something. That right there is a SYN flood. It just exhausts the server by leaving all these fake connections hanging. Now, given the kind of massive damage these things can cause, it probably won't surprise you to learn they're treated as a very, very serious crime. We're not talking about a simple prank here. This is a high-stakes felony with some really severe consequences. So let's just ask the question straight up to get a perfectly clear answer. Are DDoS attacks illegal? Oh yeah. The answer is a huge, unequivocal yes. As you can see right here, all the major jurisdictions have specific laws against this stuff. In both the US and the UK, you could be looking at up to a decade in prison. And the European Union requires all its member countries to have similar tough laws. And here's something you really need to know. You don't even have to launch the attack yourself to be in big trouble. There's been this rise of so-called DDoS for hire services that make it seem super easy just to knock a site offline. But the authorities are crystal clear on this. Just paying for one of these services is a federal crime. But you know, this is a constant game of cat and mouse. As the defenses get better, the attackers just get smarter and more sophisticated. The whole battlefield is constantly evolving.
And one of the scariest new things on the horizon is the use of artificial intelligence. Attackers are now using AI to create malicious traffic that looks almost exactly like a real person browsing a site. This makes it incredibly hard for automated defenses to tell the difference between a real customer and an AI-powered botnet.
So, how do companies and organizations even begin to fight back? Well, it takes a whole layered defense. They use everything from basic firewalls and traffic filtering to really advanced systems that look for weird patterns. And, crucially, a lot of them now rely on these huge cloud-based protection services that can basically soak up and clean out the attack traffic before it ever gets to them.
But even with all of those defenses in place, it all comes down to this. See, it's one thing to have a plan written down somewhere, but it's a whole different story to see if it actually works when you're under a real attack. A quote from Mike Tyson just says it all perfectly. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And that is the absolute reality of cybersecurity. True preparedness isn't just about the plan, it's about being able to take that punch, get back up, and keep fighting. The real question is, are most organizations truly ready for it?